of studies, what he says, studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. First very line. See, what the Francis Bacon's style was that he starts the topic from the very first line. Here it is very condensed type of statement. He says, studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. Now let's open it up. What does it mean? He says, the first thing he said, studies serve for delight. Delight means when we have pleasure out of something. He is telling about three things about studies, that how people do take studies. First very thing, people get delight out of it. Some people get delight out of it. Second is they use it for ornamentation, and third is for ability. What does it mean? First, when he says for delight. Delight means I am reading something to have pleasure out of it, for my own satisfaction. Right? There are the people who do read for that very purpose. The second type of people are those who use it for ornament. Ornament means to, why do we use like jewel and all these things to make ourselves beautiful or to decorate ourselves. So there are few people who use this studies for the sake of ornamentation. Ornamentation means, like I'm talking to you, I'm sitting in we are sitting in we are doing some discussion. So what I'll be doing, I'll be trying to use the different quotations. Different quotations over there. So I will be using different, I'll be telling you about the books, I'll be referring few things to you. So whatever I would have studied. So what will it make? It will make my discussion very much decorated. Yes or no? You can take this very thing in the form, we can say it is for show off. There are two people who study for the sake of this, that they should learn some quotations, they should take some wisdom just to show off.
Yes, a pedantic.
Yeah. For artificial sort of just to show off. I'm sitting with you. I have not like learned anything from the book, but I have now I remember few quotations of Bacon's, so I'll keep on quoting them. So you will say, okay, how learned he is. Fine. And third thing he said, for ability. Ability means like there are few people who actually get something from the studies and it increases their ability. Their ability means their ability, it increases their wisdom. It increases their ability to deal with the world. It increases their ability to groom their self studies. Right? So here in only one statement, he had covered so much. A simple statement. Studies serve for delight, ornament and ability. Here how much he has said in a single statement. Right? Next what he says. Their chief use for delight is in private and retiring. For ornament is in discourse, and for ability is in judgment and disposition of business. Now he explains whatever he has said in the first very line. He said that the people who use the studies for delight, which time they do it? They do it in private. Or when they are in tiredness, when I'll want something, I'll want to read something just for the sake of my own satisfaction. So I will try that I'll be sitting somewhere alone and I'll be enjoying it. Yes or no? So he said that for delight, people use the studies in private or in privateness or in retiredness. Like when they are tired and when they are alone, they used to do the study. They use it over there. Then he said for ornament is the discourse. For ornamentation, the people who use it for ornamentation, for decorative sort of thing. So they use it during the discussions. during the discourse, right? And third type of study, for ability who do, where do they use it? Whoever study to get the ability, where do they use it? They use it in the judgments of their, in the judgments, when they do judgment, obviously when they have used it for the, studied it for the ability, their wisdom has been increased, their experiences have been increased. So now they will use it in the judgments of their daily life and regulating their affairs. Right? So these are the three things he has said. Now what he said, for expert men can execute and perhaps judge of particular one by one, but the journal perhaps judge of particular one by one, but the journal counsel and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. What does he say? He said the expert people, the expert people, when they, expert people who have got the wisdom, who have got the wisdom from these from the study, what they do, they do use it in the advices. The ability whatever they have got, the ability what they have got, the wisdom they have got, they use it in the counseling means, they use it while in the normal life affairs, when they are plotting something, when they are planning something, that very time, or when they are giving advice to someone, at that very time they use this wisdom which they have got from the books, right, from the study. What next he said? He said, now again what he said, to spend too much time in study is sloth. Now he's not like favoring this thing that a person should study and study and study all the time. He said, if you study all the time, it makes you lazy. I told you he was a very practical person.
Yes.
He's not in favor of a bookworm, you are all the time stuck to the book. I stuck to the studies. He said it is also not good. Right? He said if you study more, like all the time you are studying, so it will make you lazy. You will not remain a practical person. Next he says, to use them too much for ornament is something artificial. He said, now if you are using it too much for the ornamentation. What was ornamentation? Basically it was when you are using it for the show, or when you are quoting different examples and this and that. So what will happen? This thing will become an artificial sort of thing. For example, I am sitting with you and I keep on quoting Bacon and Milton and blah and blah and blah. You will start thinking, what type of person is this?
Yes.
The thing will become very artificial. Our discussion will become very much artificial. So he said we should not also do this thing. And the next thing, to make judgment wholly by their rules is the humor of a scholar. And third thing he said, like if a person is using excessively these books, the ability for taking decisions, so what will happen? He will become a funny character for the people. It is not possible. See, he said it is used for three things.
Yes.
One is for what? What was the first one?
Pleasure.
Pleasure, right? For delight. He said if it has become excessive, we feel delighted, but if I am feeling delighted, I keep on doing it, what will happen? I will become a lazy person. Same if we do it for ornamentation. If I excessively use it for ornamentation, what will happen? I will become a very, my sports and nature will become very artificial. Third, he said it is used for ability, making you wisdom. Now, if you are only wholly solely relying on the bookish knowledge,
Yes.
you will become it will become a humor of the scholar. You will be thinking of very much like scholarly person, but in the real life, you cannot always follow the bookish things. You have to see the situation, you have to see whatever is going on around you. Right? So here this thing is also bad. Now what else he said? He said their perfect nature and are perfected by experience. For natural abilities are like natural plants. What he said? He said their perfect nature studies. They mean studies, right? Studies make nature perfect. Nature means behavior here means, okay? Studies make the behavior perfect, right? But and perfected by experience, and also experience is also included here. How he is like defining this thing. He says the natural abilities are like natural plants. If natural plants are there, natural abilities, whatever I do have in me, that they are natural, they are like natural plants. But what we do we leave this natural, if we leave the natural plants on themselves, so they will not look that beautiful. What we do, we keep on giving shape to the natural plants, yes or no? We keep on cutting them, we keep on like removing the extra branches from it, yes or no?
Yes.
In this way we make it a perfect type of beautiful plant. So in the same very way he says that the natural abilities which we do have, they are like natural plants. Now what has happened that these natural abilities are like we prune them with the help of studies. We made them like studies is just like as giving the shape to the plants. In the same very way studies give shape to a natural abilities.
So whether it is good or not.
It is very much good. It is very much good. See, but the thing is, I have some natural abilities. I have the ability, let's say, the simple example, let's say I have the ability of like writing.
Yes.
So what will happen when I will study? This very thing will get more and more perfect. I'll come to know how to write. I'll come to know so many new things. I'm very much good in anything, but the studies, what is there in the studies? What is there in the books? In books, we have the experiences of the author, the people who have written. So when we get that experience, so obviously we get perfect, right? Not perfect, but we get better, right? It is good for personality. But he said, the next point he said, and studies themselves do give forth directions too much at large, except they be bounded in by experience. Right? What else he said? He said that these studies, these are not like sufficient. These are not sufficient to be relied on. Only studies are not sufficient to be relied on. Right? We should also have some experiences. Right? The next thing, whatever he said, I hope I'm making the point clear to you.
Yes.
Okay. He said, crafty men contempt study, simple men admire them, and wise men use them. Again, see how much a pluralistic type of statement is there. But he said, crafty men, they just underestimate the studies, undervalue the study. Simple men admire them and wise men use them. Who are crafty men? Crafty men here means the cunning people. Who are after the worldly affairs. If a person, so they just undervalue the importance of studies. How like the people who are very cunning, they think that from the wrong deeds they can do each and everything. Why try to have that much knowledge and this and that? So they undervalue it, right? While the other people who are simple people, they do admire them. They admire their study, but the wise man, whoever is wise, he uses their studies. Whatever he have learned, he uses that. Clear? Okay. Then what next he said? He says, for they teach not their own use, but that is wisdom without them and above them, won by observation. He said they teach not their own use, means the study. The study does not teach its own use. It does not say, study does not tell you how to use me. But what the thing is, from where then we get the wisdom? We get the wisdom from those people who have written them. They had gone through some experience and then they had written something. So when we study, so we get the wisdom of that very person through the study.
Okay, maybe crafty men underestimate them.
Yeah.
The crafty men underestimate the studies. How?
Like see, if someone is like very cunning, I'm very cunning person. Without even studying something, I can run the world. There are such people, cunning people, who are like illiterate rather. But they are running like so many affairs. They are very successful people. When they are successful without study, so they just undervalue it. They do not give it that much importance.
Like they are arrogant of their natural ability.
Yeah, and they can do it because they are cunning people. Fine? Okay, ji. Then come to the next point. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not to find talk and discourse, but to weigh and consider. Now he is telling us that how we should use the study, whatever study we do. So he said that we should not study to confront, contradict or confute. Means I should not study that, okay fine, I'll be sitting in some argument, so I'll be contradicting the people. To have the conflict, we should not use the study for this very thing. And not to believe and take for granted. Secondly, we also should not believe wholly solely on the studies. We should not take it for granted and we should not even wholly solely believe in it. Right? I have told you that there are experiences too. And next thing what he says. But not to find talk and discourse. We should not use it only for the sake of to participate in the arguments and whatsoever, right? But how should we use it? He said, but to weigh and consider means we should study to weigh it, to know the value of it, whatever is there, and then consider it. Consider it where? Consider it in our life. Right? What does he mean? He means that we should not use studies for these very purposes, that I will become very wise person, so I will be contacting the people, I will be using it to show off and whatsoever. But we should study to weigh it, to know the value of it, and then we should consider it in our life. Yes? Okay. Then what next he says? There is another very good statement. He said, and it is very popular type of statement of him. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. Right? What does it mean? He is now talking about the books. He said there are some books which should be only tasted. Tasted means we don't need to go into the depth of that very thing. There are few books, we can read the summary of them. We are not that much, they are not needed to go into that much depth. We can read the summary, we can read the abstract, this type of thing. So that is fine with those books. He is not talking about the books. Then he said there are some other books which to be swallowed. Swallowed means, what does it mean? Like, which thing I swallow? If you give me some food. So, one type of food, if it is my favorite, I will be enjoying it. And then if something, I'm hungry, you have given me something which I don't like enjoy, I'll just swallow it up. Right? So he said, there are some books which are just to be swallowed. Like we need it, we will just read it. Fine. But there is another type of book, there are few books to be chewed and digested. There are few books which need to be chewed. We should enjoy them and then we should digest them. What does the when the food gets digested, what does happen? It becomes part of our body. Right? So in the same very way, he said there are some books which should be chewed, which need to be chewed and which need to be digested. Means we have to take them into our life. Whatever we have learned from them.
We should take benefit of them.
Yeah, whatever we have learned from them, we have to take it into our life. We should digest them up. Okay. Then what next he said? He said, that is some books, again he is like explaining this thing. It is some books are to be read only in parts, whatever I have told you, to be tasted. Others to be read, but not curiously. The same way thing, just to swallow. There is no need to. And some to be read wholly, with diligence and attention. The same way thing which I have explained already. Okay. Then he said, some books also may be read by deputy and extract made of them by others. Right? He said there are few books which could be read by deputies. Deputy means, like when I take assistance of someone, I am not reading it up, I'll ask you just read it and tell me the summary of that very thing. I'll just let me know you have read that book, just tell me about that. Fine. Or the extract means the summaries. Sometimes we go for only the summaries. Acha. Yes, that okay. Made of them by others, but that would be only in the less important argument and the meaner sort of books. Else, distilled books are like common distilled water, fleshy things. He said when this very way of like reading the books, it is just like it is fleshy, like it is something, what should I say? This fleshy means it is something not very deep. It is fleshy type of thing. It is, see, he said that when sometimes what we do not read the books, we ask someone to tell us what was there in the book, or we read some summaries, but we can do this very thing with those books which are not of that importance. If we do this very thing, you think yourself, if we do this very thing, we cannot get the essence of the book. If you read the summary of some very book, so do you get the essence and feeling whatever was there? If you let's say take the drama, the article structure, let's say, you have like just read the summary. There is so much difference between reading the summary and going through the whole drama. The essence is missing in such things. Fine? So it is for lesser arguments. What else he said? Achaji. Now he said reading makes, again another very popular line of him. Reading makes a full man. Conference make ready man and writing man. Makes, I'm saying something wrong. Reading makes a full man. Conference makes a ready man and writing an exact man. He said when we read something, it makes you a full man. Right? Full man. I think there's no need of explaining of this thing. Reading makes you full man, and conference. Conference means discussion. It makes you ready man. And then what is that? Writing man will make you exact man. When we start writing, we keep on thinking on different things. We try to write the exact thing. Right? So, studies does help us in this very way too. Next, what he says. He says, and therefore, if a man writes little, he had need have a great memory. If he confer little, he said if a person writes little, if a person does not write so much, so his memory, he should have a very sharp memory. If you do not write the thing, so your memory should be that sharp that you should remember the things. Fine. You do not write, your memory should be sharp. Then he said, the person, if he confer little, he had need have a present wit. Here he said, if a person does not talk much, does not discuss much, then he should have a very present wit. His wit should be very present. He should be a witty man. I'll explain why. And the third he said, and if he read little, he had need to be much cunning to seem to know that what he does not. He said if someone read less, then he should be a cunning man. If he does not read, then he should be a cunning man, so the other people should not know that he does not know anything. Getting? So if a person does not write, he should be a very his memory should be sharp, so he can cover up this thing. If a person does not write, so does not discuss, then what should be there? He should have a very witty mind. He should have wit. And if a person does not read, so he should be cunning to cover this thing up, that no one should know that what he does not know. Right? Okay. Then what he said, histories make, the next very line, histories make men wise. Now he is telling that which subjects, like how the subjects do help. Histories make men wise, poets witty, the mathematics subtle, natural philosophy deep, moral grave, logic and rhetoric able to contend. Here he is telling about different subjects, that which subject can help us, help the readers in which very direction. Like here he said that if you are interested in natural philosophy, it will make you more deep, more grave. If you are interested in history, you will become more wise man. Why? Because in history what we read? We read the experiences of the past, right? And if you are, and if you are like good in mathematics, it will make you more subtle. The next thing he said, nay, there is no impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by the fit studies, like age, disease of the body, may have appropriate exercises. What he says here, what does he say? He says that age, if a body is having some type of disease, fine, if a body has some type of disease, so there are some exercises. For each disease, there are some exercises. If we do those exercises, we can overcome the diseases. Here he had given the thing. He says bowling is good for stone and kidneys. Someone does the bowling, the exercise of bowling, it is good for stones and kidneys. Now, he said shooting for the lungs and breast. Shooting, right? Exercise of shooting. Gentle walking for the stomach. Riding for the head. And the like, means like there are different exercises which are good for different physical diseases. In the same very way, what he says? He says that these exercises are good for the physical diseases. So the same very way, if we have something less in our wit, so different subjects help us. As exercises help people to overcome or to like cover their physical diseases, the studies, it helps us, different subjects help us to overcome our weaknesses, different type of like
Comparison has been given here, right? Exercise studies.
the same it is like from the physical and the mind, right? Here he had given so many examples. Let us see. He had told us. Listen. He said, if a man's wit be wandering, man wit be wandering means like if someone cannot concentrate. If someone is having the problem in concentration, there are the people who cannot concentrate on one thing for longer time. So if someone is having this type of problem of wandering wit, let him study the mathematics. If someone cannot concentrate on one point for longer time, so he should study the mathematics. Why? For in demonstration, if his wit be called away, never so little, he must begin again. Why? Why he must study? Why he is suggesting mathematics for that very for the people who have the concentration problem? He says that like in the mathematics, what do we do? In mathematics, if we do not concentrate and one digit or one number is missed, what happens? We have to do the whole sum of the whole problem again. Yes or no? If we add or subtract one thing, so for that thing, what do we need? We need to be very much concentrated. To solve the mathematics problem, we need to not to lose our concentration. If we lose our concentration, what will happen? What was I saying? Yes. If someone is having the problem that he cannot concentrate, so that very person has to study mathematics because it will teach him that if he lose his concentration, what will happen? The whole complete problem he would have to do again. So now he will have to focus. He will learn the focus. Right? Next thing what he said. He said, if his wit be not apt to distinguish or find differences, let him study the schoolmen, for they are seminal factors. What he said? He said, if there is someone who cannot distinguish between the things, who cannot differentiate between the different things, so he should go further to study the teachings, the teachers. Why? Because the teacher people, they are the people who teach. They are very they are, we can say, hair splitter. Right? They are hair splitters. Just give some topic to a teacher and the teacher will do the dissection of that very thing. Right? They will split the hair. So if he goes and read their things, so what will happen? He will start knowing how to differentiate between the things. Next what he says. He says, if he be not apt to beat over matters and to call up one thing to prove and illustrate another, let him study the lawyer cases. What he said? He said, if there is someone who cannot argue good or who cannot prove his point, in the discussions, if there is someone who cannot prove his point, there are the people who are having this problem, so he should study the cases of the liars. Why? Who are the liars? Liars' wholly career is depending on this thing that he has to prove his argument. If he cannot prove his argument, he loses the case. Right? So, if someone has this very problem, he should go for the liar cases. So, every defect of mind may have a special receipt. He said that every defect of mind does have a proper some subject. Right? But the thing is, today people are asking for the classes. So, got the thing here. they he had here he means that the different subject they can serve us to what to like overcome the you have to take a concentration, right? So this was the Kafka Holberry essay of studies, right? And this essay was it is considered as one of his masterpiece. I hope you people have understood.
Yes.
Huh? Fine. So now what you people are supposed to do, one thing, here you are supposed to, I have not taken any quiz out of you people.
Yes.
No quiz, huh? Actually then in this week we will have to do two quizzes, right? We have to finish it up.